Hey you guys, welcome back. Yeah, so today I am talking more about the out of body experiences that I had when it all started for me. My spontaneous out of bodies. It's a continuation of the video that came out last week. Yeah, and so I actually wanted to first talk a little bit about how that first big out of body actually changed my life completely. Because after the out of body that I had, the number two experience where I met that light being, Yukti, after that experience, it changed me. It completely changed the way I moved through my life. I did not have any fear around a whole bunch of stuff anymore. And I had some old narratives around myself that was actually completely gone after this experience. It was pretty amazing, to be honest. And yeah, just like overall self-confidence. And even though, it wasn't even like a long experience per se, you don't really need that to have that experience afterwards that I did. Actually, many people who has, spontaneous out of bodies where they just realize that they are in fact more than their physical body. Because even though you might believe in it, because I have always believed in that, that we are a soul and we have a physical body and we're more than this life. It's just completely different when you have the experience yourself and you know that this is true. It's not anything anymore that somebody has written about in a book. All of these things, it's just completely different once you have that experience for yourself. And what else I actually experienced after this particular out-of-body experience was I felt a sense of purpose. I kind of felt or knew that this was a part of my purpose here, that I was meant to pursue these out-of-body experiences, and there was something here for me that I just knew that this was something that was connected to my purpose and my path here in this life. And as I told you in the other video, I shut it down for some months because I was in fact a little bit scared, just because I was doing this by myself and I didn't have anybody to guide me or anything like that. So I wanted to find out more before I actually pursued it again, you can say. So fast forward about 5 months. We are now in the beginning of June 2024. And at this time, I stumbled across a YouTube video, you can say by accident. I wasn't following this channel or anything at all. I had never heard about this channel. And the interviewer was interviewing Darius J. Wright. And I immediately resonated with everything he was saying, because he was talking about out-of-body experiences and how it's real and how the other side is real, and the nature of reality that just resonated with me immediately. I just knew that that was true. And what also was very encouraging to me was that he said that there is nothing to fear when you are in your out-of-body state, because nothing can hurt, harm, or touch you unless you believe it to be true. That was kind of what I needed to hear, because remember, I was a little bit scared and I needed to, have some guidance and confirmation before pursuing. So now I actually felt like I wanted to try and do this again. I just knew, okay, so if nothing can hurt, harm, or touch me, I will be safe. So I wanted to pursue having out of bodies again. So what I did was I actually just said out loud to my guides, my spirit guides again, because remember I said out loud in the end of January after the third experience that I wanted to shut it down for now. I told them to help me shut it down. And so I actually just did the opposite. I told them I want to have out-of-body experiences again. Can you guys help me, open up again to this? And you guys, only a week after I said this out loud, I had my fourth spontaneous out-of-body experience. So what happened was I was taking a nap in my living room, and I remember I was in a dream state, you could say, and I was in my house, and I suddenly become aware because I am in my couch and I have a television, and I do not have that in my house. I have not had a television for 15 years. So I just immediately in the dream, or you can say my dimensional space that I was in out of my body, I became aware because I just knew I don't have a TV. So I got really excited that I got, conscious in my dream, and I got back in my body. And when I got back in my body, I was vibrating, and I thought, yes, I want to give it a go. And so I just let myself float out of my body, basically. And I stood up in my living room, and I was really excited. I was like, yay, I did it again. I went through my kitchen and walked to my main door. And I opened up the door and went outside. And as soon as I got outside, it looked a little bit different. I remember it had like a terrace, and my garden was all of a sudden very long. And there was like this little shed on the end of the garden. So I'm standing here at this terrace, and I immediately think, wait, I have glass windows in my door, so I would be able to see myself. And I thought, wait, that would be fun to do. And so I turn around and I look at myself in the reflection, and it was me. It was me, but I had completely blonde hair. And at this time in this life, I had dark hair. So I was like, yeah, it's me, but I have blonde hair? Oh, okay. I mean, I've been blonde before, but, it was just funny to me that I had blonde hair. After I did that, I wanted to take a walk out in my garden. So I walked up in the garden, and I remember thinking, wait, I would be able to transport myself if I'm out of my body. So let me try and transport myself somewhere. And I didn't really know what I was doing or how I was supposed to do it. So I just thought of being in the Eiffel Tower, and I thought that might work. It didn't. And I remember thinking, that's a little bit weird. Like, why am I not in the Eiffel Tower? Isn't this my experience? But yeah, so I kept walking, and I walked up to that little shed that was like at the end of this garden. And I was sitting there, and I thought, let me try and call for my dog, Sifi. So I called for her, and she came. She actually came to me, and I was sitting with her, and all of a sudden I just got this feeling that I've been out of my body for way too long. Because, it feels like you've been out for so long sometimes when you're out of your body. You don't really have any feeling of the time. Time is is very different when you're out of your body, for sure. So I thought, wait, I probably should get back. So I put Sifi down and I started to walk back into the house. And as I was walking back to the house, I, was back in my body and I woke up. So this brings me to my 5th experience. And this happened also in June, only like a short while, maybe a few weeks after the previous experience that I just told you about. And so this time I am asleep. I'm in my bed. It is nighttime. And I become aware as my soul is leaving my physical body. And I remember just feeling so excited because, yay, I'm gonna have another experience. And I come out and I'm standing beside my bed. I'm actually trying to look at my body, my physical body, to see if I can see it, but it's a little bit dark in there and I couldn't really see anything completely. So I thought, okay, whatever. And then I turn around, and in my old bedroom, I had like this velvet curtain in front of the door. And so I pulled the curtain aside, and you guys, as soon as I stepped through the door, I was in a completely different living room. It was all white and blue, light blue, and it was huge, and it was so pretty, and it was like a shining white and blue. And as soon as I, pull the curtain and step in there, out through the speakers in this living room is playing Celine Dion, I'm Alive. And I love this song, and I hadn't heard it for so long, so I was just singing along to this song, and it was just so fun. And I remember just feeling like, it's so nice to sing outside of my body. Like, this is so fun. Because when you sing out of your body, you have like a natural reverb, and you have it's like your God voice. It's so fun. And yes, I was just singing along to Celine Dion in this living room, and I was like, who is this place? Is this mine? What is this? And I remember thinking, let me try and see if I can also do a headstand. That was, I don't know why, but I thought, let me try and see if I can do a headstand that I always do in my yoga classes. So I did that. And I thought, oh yeah, fine, I can do that too, out of body. And I was walking around a little bit in this living room, and I think shortly after I was back in my body. Yeah, so my experiences in the beginning was very short, but they were extremely fun because it's just the wildest feeling in the beginning when you're out. I mean, I still get extremely excited because no experience is the same. You never know what you're gonna get yourself into, what you're gonna experience, who you're gonna meet, which is so fun. But I actually also just want to touch on the song that was playing, because when I woke up from this experience, I immediately went on my phone and found Celine Dion, I'm Alive. You guys, that song, like if you listen to the lyrics, it was just mind-blowing to me. Like, why would that song be playing? But that was just how I felt. I think like it was just a perfect song for me in that moment. I don't know why that specific song, but it was just perfect. And ever since, I've heard it a lot. I get this feeling again when I hear the song that I'm, back in that experience. Kind of amazing, actually. All right, so that takes me to my next experience, and that happened in the beginning of July 2024. I was on a little weekend vacation with 2 of my friends in one of the small islands that we have in Denmark. And we're staying in this very cute old house. They had their bedroom and I had my separate bedroom. And I think it was the first night we were there, we went to bed, I'm sleeping. All of a sudden, I become aware while I am walking through the living room downstairs from where we are sleeping. And I just became aware walking around the living room downstairs. I was like, oh, wow, I'm out of my body. And I thought, let me go upstairs and see if the guys are, in the bed. And I walked upstairs, and there they were. They were laying there sleeping. And so I was just looking at them, and I thought, let me go and see if I can see myself. So I walked past their bed, and I come into my living room, and as soon as I turn myself around and try and look at myself, I'm back in my body. Yeah, so fast forward a few days, and I had just arrived back home after this little vacation with my two friends, and I was actually a little bit sick, and I remember, I was sleeping in my bed at night, and I become aware again as my soul is leaving my body. But this time, you guys, I am literally being sucked into what I now know probably was a portal, because I remember it was just a completely different sensation and experience than the other times. This time I was literally sucked out of my body, and I was floating through this dark space. And I remember it was such a physical experience, and it was like I could feel, like, if you could imagine, like the wind doing this on my body, something like this to my body, and I was flying with my legs first. Yeah, so I'm in this space, and I'm thinking, okay, I could feel that I was, going somewhere. And I'm just thinking, where do I want to go? And I couldn't really make up my mind about anything. So instead, I actually just think to myself, wait, let me try and sing. And so I sang, and it was just, again, the most amazing feeling, because when you're out of your body, you sing with your God voice, and it was just so fun. Before I knew it, I was out of this tunnel or like portal, and I was in this huge glass looking place. It reminded me kind of like a mall with like different rooms. Everything was made out of glass, like everywhere. There was no people, and I was just walking through this mall glass-like place, looking and trying to figure out, where am I? At one point, I remember looking to my left, and I see a mirror, and I see that there's like a bunch of chairs standing in front of this mirror. So I thought, oh, let me go in there and remove these chairs. I want to look at myself in the mirror. So I walk in there, and I start, removing these chairs, and I look myself in the mirror. And you guys, again, yes, I look like myself, but I have blonde hair, and it was like this, like a bob with bangs. And I have never had that before, especially not blonde. So I was like, what is going on? I'm blonde again, and I have this, like, funny, because I had long dark hair this time. And when I was looking myself in the mirror, all of a sudden, I was back in my body. But this time, you guys, something else happened. I wasn't just back in my body, I was in sleep paralysis. I didn't know this at the time, but what happened was I was back in my body, and I couldn't move, and I felt and like enormous pressure on my chest. And all of a sudden I feel like somebody is taking my blanket and just ripping it off of me. And I was thinking to myself, wait, I'm naked. Is somebody here to attack me? And then 2 seconds later, I heard this loud gunshot. And I got so scared. And you guys, that woke me up. And I was like, what was that? Because all the other times before this, I didn't have that experience. I just woke up in my body. And so after I joined Darius's ADA method, and I watched all of his videos, I found out what that was. And it was, sleep paralysis. And like, I've had actually a lot of sleep paralysis when I was younger. It started when I was 16. I, as many other, have experienced with this. I saw demons, I saw evil witches, and I was very scared because it's very real, the experience when you're in it. But I was also not in a good state back then. So I was manifesting all these crazy thought forms. And I was also watching, horror movies and all of that back then. I don't do that anymore. So all of that was, in my field back then. And when I had this experience and I all of a sudden felt that heaviness and the blanket being ripped off of me, I recognized that state. I was like, when I woke up, I was like, oh no. Is this back? Like, what is this? Like, I hadn't had that in a long time. And I got a little scared again because I didn't know what it was at that time. But yeah, so after, I joined Darius's course, I found out that it was just sleep paralysis. And I could have actually had a big out-of-body experience again if, I hadn't been so scared. But, yeah. So that was actually the 4 experiences that I wanted to share with you guys today. And my thoughts on, you can say, the beginning of my out-of-body experiences is that, I started out with the intention of wanting to have a mystical experience and meditating every day. And I believe that those meditations for sure helped me alongside with me being very isolated from other people. Like I went to work, sure, but I did not engage with anybody. I was very much just in my own space, doing my own thing. And all of that, I think, was helping me to for sure induce these out-of-body experiences. With that said, now I also know that I have had, out-of-body experiences just without knowing it throughout my whole life. I just always, when I woke up, I did feel they were different, but I just always was like, oh, that must have been like a dream or something. But now I recognize, the states, and I know what it is and how it is when I'm dreaming and how it is when I'm out of my body. So yeah, that was it for today, you guys. I hope that you got something from my experiences, and just, feel free to write a comment for me down here. If you have any questions about my experiences, maybe you have a topic that you would like for me to talk about in a video, so feel free to do that. And also, don't forget to like my video and subscribe if you found this helpful. And yeah, I will just see you guys again next time. And until then, just take care, and I can't wait to see you guys again. Have a good day. Bye, guys. Love you.